Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Parents Growing Together Convening. My name is Marissa Gertie, and I'm going to be your host tonight. I had the honor of serving as one of the 6 parent facilitators who helped bring the pilot to life, and it means so much to all of us that you're here. Parents Growing Together is a healing-centered, trauma-informed pilot co-led by Children First and First Up, where parent leaders from their own communities facilitated healing-centered workshops for caregivers of children ages 0 to 5 to test 2 powerful questions. The first one is, could a peer-to-peer model of teaching trauma-informed practices strengthen parents' engagement with children's learning? That was an aha moment for many people present at those meetings. The second question was, could trauma-informed training reduce the parental stress and improve parent and child relationships? Personally, I learned a lot through facilitating these sessions. A lot of the advice I still practice today, and I'm hoping that those parents that were part of this series also took a lot of things home and took the best part of what they heard and shared and brought it into the way they interact with their children and within their families. This work was made possible by the partnership of the United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, and the generosity of PNC. We're honored to have Catherine Vore, Manager of Grants and Foundation Relations at the United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey. A little bit more about Catherine. She's a nonprofit leader passionate about equity and service. As a manager of grants and foundation relations at United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey, she oversees diverse funding portfolios. A former teacher, she volunteers with the Phoenix and the Miles for Hope Fund, supporting community awareness. We're also supposed to have a second person here from PNC, Elisa Wallace, who is the Assistant Vice President and Assistant Director of Client and Community Relations at the PNC Foundation, with us this evening. She's running a little bit late, but she will join us. To open our program, we first hear from Ms. Vore on why she chose to invest in this work and why it matters now. Welcome, Ms. Vore.
Good evening, everybody. Here's an introduction. My name is Catherine Vore, and I'm the Manager of Grants and Foundation Relations at United Way of Greater Philadelphia and Southern New Jersey. So on behalf of United Way, I'm honored to attend this convening tonight to celebrate the success of Parents Growing Together. But I would be remiss if I did not first acknowledge the incredible work that my namesake and Savannah Washington did to spearhead and launch this initiative during their time at United Way. So thank you both for your dedication to this work. For almost 30 years, our United Way has been a leader in forming innovative solutions to meet the rising needs of the early learning and education sector. From the 1996 Child Care Matters program, which was the predecessor to Pennsylvania's Keystone Stars quality rating, to the 2007 Success by 6 initiative, which was replicated by United Ways across the nation, our organization has been investing in early learning programs as a top priority. In October of 2023, United Way began our partnership with Children First and First Up to continue this legacy through Parents Growing Together. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, shape the lives of young children in Philadelphia every day. High rates of poverty and gun violence have led to an unprecedented mental health crisis in our city. So to address the intergenerational effects of trauma on both parents and children in Philadelphia, the United Way convened Children First and First Up to implement this pilot program called Parents Growing Together, which integrated trauma-informed and healing-centered practices and parent engagement strategies in early education programs. As you will hear tonight, this pilot provided a safe space for parents in our community to learn, heal, and grow together, to ultimately foster better parent-child relationships and improve academic outcomes. This partnership would not have been possible without the support of PNC, which is why I was going to pass it over to Ellie Wallace, but I think we'll hear from her later. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry about that. I shouldn't have. I want to introduce two very wonderful ladies over here that most of you will know. We're going to hear from Inella Ray, Director of Parent Advocacy and Engagement at Children First. And Lisa Brown, Director of Early Learning Initiatives and Equity Advancement. They will share more about the work and key insights gained throughout the process. And at the heart of this initiative are the people who made it possible. Parents, parent facilitators, and providers whose voices and experience shape every step. We're honored to have several of them with us today for a conversation about the work and its impact.
Thanks, Marissa. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Hey, I love the energy. It is the golden time of day, as Frankie Beverly and Mays would say. I am so happy to be here with you today as we celebrate this work. It is so exciting. And Lisa, come on up here, girl. So we're going to give you a little bit of context about the work, but before we do that, we thought it was really important to start about the organizations who have lived this work, which are dynamites in their own right. So first up, there's no pun intended, but Children First is an organization that I get to work for, and our executive director is coming in. That was not planned. So my name is Inella Ray. I have the distinct pleasure of working for an organization that has been around for 45 years. And top record. And for those 45 years, we've been fighting to better the lives of our region's children, and we've been doing that work not in isolation, but most importantly with people who care. And all those people are some in the room. So we have parents represented, we have providers, we have practitioners, we have anybody who feels that children need to be invested in and are willing to fight for them. And we do that work across 4 distinct areas. So we do early childhood education, which we'll be talking about more today. We also have K-12 education, health, mental and physical health, and juvenile justice and child welfare. But the reason why we are so powerful is because we don't do this work alone. So we have dynamite partners, and we've had the distinct pleasure of working with First Up for the last 18 months, among other things, but this is just one of the things that we were working together on. And it was the first time Lisa and I worked together, and it's been a distinct pleasure, so I'm now going to pass it off to her.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Inella. Like Inella said, this is the first time we got to partner in this way, but it's just the beginning for us as partners. So I am standing here and very excited to be representing First Up, where I am the Director of Early Learning Initiatives and Equity Advancement. At First Up, we have been around for over 50 years. Because that really speaks to all of you in the room. So for over 50 years, First Up has been supporting young children, and I see young children are in the room, as well as their families and the early childhood providers. And so I am going to keep us moving along in this, Inella, and say, you know, at this time, Inella and I are actually going to... Y'all recognize each other up there? Give you all a brief overview about Parents Growing Together. And Parents Growing Together was birthed right here, this pilot, in the city of Philadelphia. And like Marissa shared earlier on, we had 2 big questions that we were asking in this pilot of Parents Growing Together. The first one was, we really wanted to know if a peer-to-peer model of teaching trauma-informed strategies to families would strengthen parents' engagement with their children and their children's learning. And then the second one was really this question of, will trauma-informed training support families in reducing the stress that they experience, and will it enhance their relationships with their children? And so in our partnership partnership, first up in Children First, as we shared, we really played to our strengths as organizations, and we were able to lay down a very firm foundation, and that foundation included a strong curriculum, recruitment plan, training, implementation, and an evaluation phase, which we'll share a little bit about. But specifically, the beautiful thing about our partnership together is that Children's First runs this dynamic program called, I don't know if some of y'all are familiar with it, but it's called Parents Empowered for Change. And so in that program, we have incredible parent leaders who are active in their communities.
That's right.
That's right. And so this illustrious group of parent leaders actually facilitated these workshops with real life families that engaged in that way. And then First Up is not new to this, but we're true to this work around trauma-informed care. And so what we did is we were responsible for developing the curriculum that was grounded in resilience and trauma-informed principles. And we were excited to deepen our work with families. And then Children First, of course, brought their deep community organizing expertise into this partnership. And then we also brought our extensive knowledge and work and experience with early childhood professionals and families. So during the pilot program, you can see here that we engaged 103 caregivers throughout the three-part workshop series, some of whom are actually in the room with us tonight. Yes, and the workshops were parent-led spaces that were rooted in trust, culturally responsiveness, and voluntary participation. And so some of the things that I really did want to highlight is going to focus on the providers, the early childhood professionals that we worked with and their programs, and some of the takeaways we got from them. And Inella is going to do a deeper dive into the other areas of this report. So one of the things that providers highlighted for us was that this program, Parents Growing Together, was a space where that families came and they felt seen, affirmed, and valued. And they also left feeling supported, not only by the parent leaders who were showing up and facilitating the workshops, but they then began to feel even more supported by the actual programs that were bringing this program to their school. Providers actually even reported that they actually saw tangible differences where they said they noted that families were more patient in their interactions and engagements with their children. And not only that, but they felt supported by the other parents who were around them, okay? And then one of the very key learnings that we're taking away too as partner organizations, which we look forward to continuing to engage with early childhood programs, was, you know, they were reflecting on their ongoing family engagement approaches. One of the things that's been interesting is it's been interesting for providers to reconnect and bring families back into their early childhood programs since COVID, okay? And that is a struggle. One of the noticeable differences for them was that they said, hey, these flyers and those invitations, those aren't really working. But what is really working is that we have deep relationships, and so when a director actually invites the family who they have built a relationship with, that was actually more effective and more families in. You know what else they told us that I thought was real interesting? I mean, United Way, I know you're in the room and you hear us right now. And so does PNC. I'm just trying to say, all the providers reported that once the families entered the space, they returned for the rest of the workshops, okay? And so there's so much value in us bringing this back and continuing this work. And the last thing I'll share here is we were also very surprised that there were additional benefits for the staff members in the program, because the catch here is some of the program staff actually were parents themselves, and so they attended and participated as parents, but then they also attended, and in them attending, they started to see parents as leaders and not just themselves providing services to parents, and that was a powerful shift for them as providers. So I could stand here and I can talk some more, but we're going to let the report do the talking, but Arnell is going to walk us through some other insights in the meantime.
I love it.
Oh, we love it too. That's why we're so excited to talk to y'all about it. And so when we think about what this meant for not only the families who were actually participating, but also the stakeholders and also the staff, was that there were some major things that happened. So reduction in stress. The Surgeon General came out last year and said how much parental stress is a major health thing now. And so when you think about the reduction of stress, that is really critical in a time where a lot can be stressful for parents. Also building confidence, right? Parenting doesn't come with a handbook, but when you're in community with other people and you're realizing some of the challenges that your neighbor is having is also something that you're struggling with, you're realizing that you can get through it together. And also strengthening family relationships. So these came up not only from the parents in the room, but also it extended to the organizations that we partner with at large, and that there were also some cross-mixing of organizations, building relationships as well, which I'll hear about very shortly. So these were the 4 main areas of impact that the report highlights, but that you'll also hear on the panel tonight. The first is parenting practices shifted. Many of the parents named that they really parented from a place of whatever was modeled for them. So whether that was good, bad, or in between, they really took their parenting notes from those who raised them. And it wasn't until these workshops where they began to understand that maybe I can do things differently, right? And so those practices shifted immediately. So after that one session, people came back reporting how they tried different tools, all of which did not cost any extra money. Just want to put that out there, right? Number 2, self-care became more essential. So self-care is something now that I think is really talked about in the mainstream, and oftentimes associated with consumerism and having to have access to capital. But the self-care that we're talking about here is being able to emotionally regulate yourself, right? So that could mean taking a walk when you need to, drinking a cold glass of water when you just need a moment, or even being able to ask your child, I need 5 minutes before you ask me for something else. And so when you think about that, and when you're parenting from that place, there's a lot more space for possibility. Number 3, families found belonging. As Lisa mentioned, COVID-19 really did a number in terms of how we convene, even this space, like being in this space with you all, I feel so excited, because usually I'm looking at Zoom boxes, right? Yes, and so to see all of you here, and also to see the room packed, right? It's not just like, we're not just here, right? There are people literally busting at the seams in terms of how packed we're. So people found belonging here, and that's powerful, because I hear sometimes, whether I'm in meetings with other organizations and they're interested in working with families, they're like, families don't show up. So the next time somebody says that, I want you to look around and keep a mental memory that parents do show up when they're welcome.
That's it. Hallelujah. Heard that.
So if parents aren't showing up, you may want to look inward of what you can be doing differently to make it so that you have a room like this.
Yes.
Number 4, which is like my favorite. Disruption of harmful generational cycles. As I mentioned earlier in this slide, we talked about how parents really didn't know how to parent from a different set of principles, tools, a playbook. And so when you think about when you make these shifts, these micro shifts, this could also be shifting things, not just for that child that's being raised in that household, but it could also mean now how they interact now in the world, but also how they raise their children. And so this has very exponential impact, and I think it's really important to think about how we can continue this work, because our children deserve it. And The reality is, we're not just looking at what we're doing now and just ourselves, but we're looking at the little ones we're raising and the people that they'll become. And so we want to make sure we're doing things in a way that is not only healthy, but it's also promoting more possibilities of the amazingness we can have in this world. And so, we don't really like to do a whole lot of telling you here. We like to more so show you. So we're going to play a video.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Oh, let me get some tech help. So, oh, Adele, you're right on it. So, Adele is here from PHMC, who's supporting this anyway. But she's also about to help us get some sound.
Okay. It's not working. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Uh-oh, a little bit.
That's you.
Oh, get it out.
All right, so we may have to come back to this, but we absolutely do want to show this. It's a phenomenal video that needs to be shown. So we're going to figure out how to do this, but in the meantime, we're going to continue with our program and then circle back to this. But we're so happy to be with you all today, and we'll figure it out as we always do.
We're gonna make sure all of you get a chance to see this. No worries. And I want you to give yourselves a hand for being here today. It is much appreciated. It's very rare to see a full house when it comes to a meeting. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Nikita Allen and Karen participants and today's panel moderator.
Go ahead, girl.
Alrighty, I'm gonna refer to like Lisa said, I'm new to this, but I'm true to this. I'm nervous, but we're gonna get this done. Alright, good evening everyone. I am so thrilled to be here to help guide you guys in tonight's panel. But before I do that, I would like to take a moment to recognize the parent participants, the parent facilitators, the providers who helped make this pilot possible. So I would like all of them to stand up. This pilot has touched our lives in profound ways, and I would like to take this time to share what this pilot meant for me and my family. Looking out into this room, for me and my family, it went really full circle. The reason why I can say that it went full circle is just that I allow God to direct my steps and moving forward. My son, Jakaya Alamudi, is very exceptional. And so when we sat in the doctor's office one evening, we were given some news. And I made a choice in my mind that I wasn't going to fold. I was going to do whatever was necessary to put the proper things in front of me and in front of him so he can thrive and be the best child that he can be. And that we went to Wonder Springs, where I met Leah Booker. She's also now in the Leah Booker, it led led me to be a part of the Parents Growing Together pilot. And she asked a lot of parents who she trusts in, who were showing up, who appeared to be consistent at her center to take part in these classes. And I'm just like, parent classes? Why do I need parents classes? You know? So I'm just thinking like, okay, this is gonna be a room where they're teaching you and telling you what to do, you know, in the house and how to raise your child. But I came anyway. She asked me to be a part, so I took that opportunity and I became a part. And being a part, I also met Gianna Williams, who has her own organization. Who has her own program with Elegance Extreme, a reading program. And so her being our facilitator and just us all being parents and sharing intimate stories and things that we experienced, I was able to then bring my son to her program, a reading program that takes place every Saturday, which I gained more knowledge and help. And initially, Anella Ray was also in that room and a part of the Parents Growing Together. And that led me to be a part of the Lift Every Voice Philly. It allowed me to be a part of the Parent and Kinship Action Lab, where I took classes on advocacy. And so looking out in this room and seeing how things just went full circle, if I did not say yes to taking that initial moment to better myself and seeing, being open to what was being offered, those connections would have never been made. So initially, I just feel like as parents, sometimes we gotta step out our comfort zone. We gotta say yes sometimes, even when it seems very uncomfortable, because I would have not known in a million years that I would be in this room, presenting on this mic and being in front of all of you. This opportunity has really been growing me, and I truly thank each and every one of you guys. My story, along with many others. Now, I would like to invite our panelists to share their own experience and reflections on what this pilot meant for them. Please join me in welcoming Leah Booker, the provider of Wonder Springs Youth Life. And Gianna Williams of Elegance Extreme. Come on, Gianna. And one more, give a round of applause for Dawn Nook. Provider Council. We rolling. Okay, I can't see everybody, but all right. So we're going to start. My first question is going to be for you, Leah. What motivated you to get involved with Parents Growing Together?
Good evening, everybody. We're friends of the program of First Up. So usually if James, Inella, any of them come to me, and Children's Herders, we're friends to the program. So if they come to me and say, hey, we have a workshop, we have something that we would like to get done, are you able to accommodate? I say yes. A little backstory about myself, because this is why I kind of get involved in the work that I'm in. I had retired from childcare in the pandemic, and my CEO is in the building, but she pulled me from another organization and said she needed me to come out of retirement. And I said, where do you need me to go? She said, 59th and Market. I said, bet. I said that because I grew up on 133 North Southford Street, and the craziness of this is this woman lives at that same block down the street, okay? So we have a couple of reasons that me and her are family forever. We won't get into all of that tonight, but I know it's divine intervention of why I'm in her life. But knowing that I was coming back into the neighborhood that I grew up in, that I no longer lived in, to come back and save my people was why I went back to 59th and Market. So anything that I can do to help children that look like me, I'm going to be at the forefront. And when I realized that I had Philly pre-K, pre-K counts, and those are all programs that a lot of children with trauma are entering, I knew that we needed a sandwich approach. It couldn't be just me and this is my ex-assistant director. He got his own program now. we had to work as a sandwich to make sure that we help these parents, because so many parents come in and they're bleeding on you. And you're like, I'm not a therapist. I don't have all the answers. So where can I get some answers from? You can't tell a parent that they need a parenting class. But if you say, hey, I got a group that you can go to with other people that are on the same struggle bus or not as you, and you can use some of the tools, and they have some tools, and we could work together to try to enrich the lives of not just the youth, but also the parents, I'm in. So that's why when James came to me and said, hey, do you want to be a part of this? It was a no-brainer for me, because I need some extra supports to help the families. I can't do it by myself.
The question was, what motivated you to get involved with Parents Growing Together?
So I thought that Parents Growing Together was a great opportunity to introduce some resources to my parents. Great way to have parent engagement, great way to enhance the quality of your program, right? What you should be doing. What I didn't know was that I was entering into a program that would shift the dynamics of not only my parents, but myself. And so for all the people who are here that took the time to donate their money, donate their time to this pilot program, I wanted to share how it impacted my life. So I participated in the program just to support the staff and the parents of my program, because that's what good directors do. And in the program, some people knew, but most didn't, that I was dealing with the murder of my mom. And in that process, I had literally just wrapped up trial. And I'm the kind of person that doesn't really know how to ask for help, and I don't know how to say I need help. But my staff has been with me long enough to know my demeanor. So during that course of those courses, I was very isolated because I had a lot of weight, but I didn't know how to share that I needed help. And in the class, Ms. Gianna talked about your safety plan and how to look at your supports. And it was from there that I recognized, one, that I needed a safety plan, but two, how do I show people or allow people to be there for me as I've been there for them? I wouldn't let my support system support me because I didn't know how to ask for it. And so Parents Growing Together gave me a breakthrough that I needed, that allowed me to come up with a code word so that I could say to the people, hey, this is what's happening. And so it was not only revolutionary for my staff and my parents, but Parents Growing Together was revolutionary for me, and I support it 100%.
So Gianna, my question is to you the same. What motivated you to get involved with Parents Growing Together?
We'll be here all night. We're not gonna be here all night. No. My motivation, I have grandchildren. And I have 2 sons who are both married. And watching the dynamic of all of them allowed me to be able to join Inella, who is very persistent, and Stephanie, who's very encouraging, to join Parents Empowered for Change. And through that process, it allowed me to understand what my journey was. And my journey was to go out and help other parents be able to help themselves. As Kashmira said, parents growing together helped her, but it helped me. And my children are grown, but it helped me. And as I always said to them, we're growing together. It's not just y'all growing, we're all here growing together. So we all shared our stories. And we had our times and everything. So it allowed me to be able to help them. And that's what created my journey and why I do what I do, along with my own organization.
Come on, let's
Hi everyone, my name is Donna, and what originally motivated me to do this work is I work for Children First, and our executive director said, hey, we want you to come on and join this team and bring your trauma training into this project. And so my original motivation was to share my passion and my sensitivity to the needs of a community, that when we bring services such as trauma-informed care, that we are indeed being sensitive to the population that we're speaking to, and that it meets their needs and not an agenda, things of that nature. So, but more importantly, when this model was designed to be a peer-to-peer model, parent-to-parent peer model, then if you know anything about the Provider Council, I'm the early childhood education coordinator for that group. And a part of I'll just say, the voice that we're elevating, other than providers, is the family's voice. And for the same reasons that we're there for providers, are the same reasons that we're there for families. For so long, decisions have been being made for us, about us, without us. And so it really motivated me that I had an opportunity to be a voice, to bring parents into the room so that decisions that were made for them, they could be a part of that. And then we will see a little later on how I was able to actually bring the family's voice into the room.
So I'm gonna follow up with my next question with Ms. Dawn. How have you seen parents grow or change through their participation in the program?
Okay, so the question was, how have I seen parents grow or change since their participation in the program? Well, let's go back to how our parents were able to be involved. So one of the ways that our parents were able to be involved was, as a group member, I also worked on the planning side. And while we were doing the planning, we noticed that parents weren't responding to some of the marketing tools. So I said, well, hey, here's a chance to get parents involved. Let them tell us what they think about the marketing tools that are out there. So I asked them, I said, can I bring this to our next parent meeting? Brought the materials to the parent family council meeting. One of the comments first, they said, Ms. Dawn, these materials are sleeping. So they said they were sleeping. So we took that into account. So we needed to liven up the flyers. And then they said, well, that's really nice that you're putting down here how much they get per stipend per session, but it's not a draw the way it's worded. If you want to draw me, say $60 for 3 classes, don't say $20 per class. And so they gave us that. And then he was like, it's too much writing. Take away all of that explanation of all the sessions. Just get to the point. So we did that. Took that back to the group and we revised the flyers. And so we're happy to say with that, not only did they see that, I said to them, I said, okay, now that I have your advice on that, why don't I let you give me some advice on the slides and let you see what we're going to talk about? And do you think parents would be interested? After the parents saw the slides, they said, can we come? Well, guess what? We meet virtually, but these sessions were in person. And so I took it back to the group. The parents said they would like sessions being brought to them virtually. Well, the group took it back and the decision was made. We will bring sessions virtually to the group. What did I see change in the course of that? One, you validated initially parents' voices and their input. They saw that they were valued, and that said more than words could ever say. When you take something back and then you bring it back to them and show them the proof of their voice, right? Then we brought the sessions. During the sessions, the initial sessions, and the follow-up sessions, you could see inside of the classroom, those virtual walls, even though they were meant for in-person sessions, by their statements, that they were being transformed right then and there. And then at the end, maybe 2, were like, we don't want this night to end. 6:30 to 8:30, we were all ready to go to bed. But some of them wanted it to continue even longer than those 2 hours. And then we could hear the transformational change, not only in that virtual session, but I could see it throughout each of the sessions. I went to 1 in person and 2 virtual, and each and every one of them, I could see parents changing right before my eyes. And some of the parents were staff, and it was just a time of connection and a time of expertise and how people connected with the participants. So that's what I saw happen.
Thank you. How have you seen parents grow or change through their participation?
My.
And I was in her class.
Yeah. I have to say, the transformation that I was about to bear witness to was with this young lady right here, Nikita, and another young lady that was in the class at one of the springs as well. But to go from the very night that we had a long conversation, me, Nikita, Anella, and Leah, we had a long conversation. We was there till I think almost 10 o'clock. It was long, but it was worth it. Out of that conversation, I watched Kita grow from not knowing what to do, how to do, or why to do, to now knowing everything. Why is she doing it? How to do it? When to do it? And where to do it? She has all that information now. So between joining the forces with Children First, and I have to say, coming into my organization, we were able to really build on that for her. And that transformation was just amazing. But the transformation wasn't just with her. It was with her son. It was a transformation with him. The transformation that we seen in him helped validate us. To let us know that, okay, keep doing what you're doing, because it's working. So that is where I am with that. That's the transformation that I've seen. And the other young lady that was in Wonder Springs as well is a transformation with her also, because she came from not wanting to talk in the room to coming into my organization. Now she calls me. We're on the phone talking. Her kids, when they see me, they're excited. You know, so again, that also let me know that what we're doing is working and to keep doing it.
What impact has the program had on your own approach to teaching, your own approach to parenting or facilitating?
So I like the facilitating part because from the parents growing together, my parents, I have seen, they literally have grown together. We have created a parent committee, which is the first of our organization, which is going to be modeled after the Provider Council, in that it will be parent-driven, parent-led. I just want to be invited to the table, and I want to be able to offer some suggestions, but I want my parents to be empowered to be able to make decisions, suggestions, and ideas to be involved in their child's education, because it's not just about what I would like to offer their children and offer value, but they are the experts. They are the proximity experts and the first experts of their children. And I want them to be able to inform us on how we can add value to their children, not just what we believe can be of value to their children. And so with the parent committee that we've created, my parents are really, really excited. They are here tonight. They joined the parents room together. They've come tonight, and they want to meet every other week for the first 3 months to get the foundation laid of the parent committee. And then we're going to open it back up to our parents, open enrollment in January, and that was to give time for them to get to know each other, to select who's going to be the secretary, who's going to be the president, who's going to be the vice president, what we're going to do, what issues we want to talk about. And so parents going together really form that bond for them to connect in that space, to now create a new space where they are now willing to exchange ideas, fellowship, and community suggestions from that place to now.
Thank you so much. So Leah, how do you hope parents growing together continues to evolve or expand?
The people with the pocketbooks in the building, this is for you, okay? You gotta dig deep in your bag to help First Up and Children's First, because the work is needed. I took a class over the summer. 1 in 31 children are being diagnosed with autism. I'm a provider. I can't help everybody that's typical. I darn sure can't help everybody that has some special needs. So programs like this help parents not feel like aliens, because they far too much suffer that at the hands of all the other organizations that they have to go to get assistance. No shade to anybody. ELRC, you gotta go through hoops. Elway, you gotta go through hoops. All the things that should be made a little bit easier, because they're already dealing with trauma. We're already living in poverty. Those things are like jumping through fire hoops with gasoline balls for these people to get what they need to get. That's not fair. Like, it makes the work harder for the people that have the care, that have the due diligence, that have the time, that have the efforts. I can't help everybody, but I can try to help everybody. But it's with the support of funders to make sure that programs like this happen, because I have a scope of new parents. They are nothing like Nikita's. I don't know what I'm going to have to offer them to get their behinds in the seats, but it's not going to be a $60 Amazon gift card, child care, or dinner. She understood the value in that. They don't understand the value in that.
Dinner and this.
Yeah, my center, that's what I had to do. I had a gift card, I had babysitting. Me and Brian watched the children. We cooked chicken nuggets, broccoli, with trusted people. I didn't mind doing that because I knew that they needed to hear the message that was going on in that room, because that was going to make them easier for me to manage on a day-to-day basis when they came to sit in my office and cry. You don't know what this woman has gone through. Like, literally, I've watched her try to find supports for her child. The supports don't work. I watched her mother-in-law pass away, and her mother-in-law knew me, so she knew she was putting her in good hands. She has a story, like just about every parent in this room. But who's hearing your stories? The people in this room are here tonight, and things like this need to go on in order to help our community. If not, we're going to continue to have the crimes that we have going on. All of this that's going on in the city of Philadelphia starts in this room, starts in these centers. It starts with children that's 3 to 5 years old. If we're not willing to get them a foundation so that they have some groundwork to work with when they go into kindergarten through 12th grade, it starts with us. So, I say it again.
The caregivers.
Yes, the caregivers, every parent can't do it. Y'all need support? I'm here to be the support. Kashmira, Miss Dawn, Miss G, we're here to do that work, but we need programs like this because everybody's not going to believe everything that Leah Booker says. It might need to be some professionals in there that understand, and peers. That's right.
So really quick, I want to be able to move along, but I want to share something before I give up this microphone to the people who are sponsoring this program. One thing that I can say from really the pit of my heart is that now, okay, I have an army of people that I can pick up my phone and call in time of need. I have people who will lock arms with me when it comes to advocating for my child. When I tell you that sitting down or going in to get ready to do an IEP meeting gives me high anxiety. I know if I have to, I can call another parent, I can call Anella, I can lean on Leah to get all the support that I need. This program has been more than just me coming in to understand on not only how to deal with my toddler, but I have a 22-year-old son. How to take a deep breath, how to, walk away from a conversation and come back and reapproach it. You know what I mean? Let's negotiate what needs to be done here. When I don't feel good, guess what, Damir? I can't have that conversation right now. Let's address this tomorrow with a clear head. So those are some of the things that they taught me and helped me to go along the way. And now, facing a new IEP meeting, I know how to advocate. I know how to speak up. I know how to say, no, you're not canceling his speech till one day. If he's progressing, we're going to keep riding this wave. The funding is there, right? And so therefore, you're not going to just accept my child and be able to build on your school. This funding is here for him to be able to thrive. Not only for my son, but for a lot of other children. And so that's what this program has meant to me. It's been a pillar, in my life in so many ways. I had no idea what I was walking into when I got the diagnosis. But now I'm understanding, I feel stronger, and I'm better because of it. And I thank you guys. I thank all of you that are here for your stories this evening. Let's give our panelists once again a round of applause for the honesty, the courage, and the insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much again, everyone that sat on this panel. We will now hear from the staff who are responsible for the implementation of this project. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Joanna LaCourte, today's moderator. I am so tired.
Hello, I'm very pleased to be with you tonight and to bring to the panel the incredible implementation team that built the foundation for all the things you've been hearing about this wonderful work. So help me welcome James Nicholson, Anella Ray, Alex Hogan, and Stephanie Blake. James is the manager of trauma-informed initiatives of Children's at First Up. Anella, we've already been meeting tonight from Children's First. Alex is the senior professional development instructor at First Up, and Stephanie is the early childhood education policy operations manager at Children's First. So I have a couple questions I'm going to go out and ask. I know that the hours are, the minutes are moving forward, so I ask whoever has a moved feeling to answer. And the first one is about sharing moments during the program that you were working to build that felt especially meaningful or transformative, or even where you learned something about yourself through this process.
I'm deeply personal. No big deal. No big deal. Good.
James, you go.
Okay, so I'll share. I was able to start, I think, at the end. So I was privileged to sit in on the focus groups we had afterwards. And what really struck me, we had a focus group with some of the parent participants. And one of the parent participants said she keeps her emotional volume plan posted on her refrigerator where she can see it many times throughout the day. And when she said that, I said, we did it. We gave somebody a tool that changed their life. So that impacted me in a great way. Because I'm such a believer in emotional volume plans and trauma-informed work. So I would call that as a real win for everyone. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm wondering about what would you give as advice to others who are wanting to integrate trauma-informed practices into parent engagement work?
It's like a real hard question.
Deep question.
Hard question.
We'll make it work.
Awesome. I think first is not to assume what you think your families need. And I think that's really important because too often there's not a level of cultural humility when talking about families in Philadelphia, and particularly Black, brown, and low-wealth families. So first, don't assume that you know what they need, right? Ask them the question. And then I think the other piece is to make sure that you have the infrastructure to support that thing, right? So we knew coming into this, we couldn't just have workshops without childcare, without food, without stipends, and also without willing partners who can make sure the parents were in the room. So it's not enough to just want to do the work, but it's also really important to make sure that you create the conditions needed for the work to happen. And so that starts with cultural humility, but then it also lends to partnership too. If you're trying to do it by yourself, you probably won't get very far. So it was really important for us to work together. And the last lesson I would say is being flexible. There was a lot of bumps. And we had to really pivot. I mean, if I'm being transparent, we were starting in the fall of last year. And we realized that back to school time is not the best time to do this. And so we had to pause and we relaunched with vigor and clarity. And so I think it's really like both the humility piece and the flexibility. And then I think it's willing to take the critical feedback. So we had focus groups. The focus groups shared some amazing things, but it also shared some things that we want to see that is different. And I think it's important not to just say, yeah, we're writing that down, but actually make adaptive changes moving forward.
So you designed and implemented all the things we've been hearing about that brought all that about. If you could go back and redesign, starting today, what might you do differently, if anything?
Sure.
think after, the first initial phase of this and seeing all the positive and how powerful and impactful it has been for parents, wish we could have made it a little longer, wish we had more time, because we heard after we did the 3 sessions, there were parents who were like, well, when's the next session? And we're like, we're done, we can't do it anymore. So we wish we had more time, and I think it happened the way it was supposed to. So we initially felt like the fall it might have been not the right timing, but maybe the spring was a better timing. So now we learned from that this time, but not too much, because we've heard such positive feedback, how powerful and impactful for both the participants and the parent leaders. So I'm just so happy and proud of this work, and hopefully can continue as we move forward.
And I'd like to ask you, what questions might you have for the design and implementation folks sitting up here?
Give me an easy one.
What's next?
What's next?
And are y'all gonna get some special education representation of that? Yeah, so.
I think what's next is what all of us would want, would to be a part 2.
Yes.
Right? Nothing we do doesn't hold intentionality and action. I don't think we drew any content from hope, but we drew it from evidence-driven resources that were reliable, sustainable, and easy for family members. I'm not just talking like mom was there. Like, we had people who were a part of these children's lives from all parts of the family. And when you can get people in a room, regardless of the relationship to that child, but just the general care and love, like, that's a stepping stone. So what is next? Maybe some more funding. Maybe for you all who were a part of this program to tell one person who you have not told yet, hey, guess what I did for 3 weeks or 3 workshops last spring. Catch them in an elevator. Be like, hey, you care about kids? Let me tell you a quick story. So you are all a voice beyond a one-pager, beyond a QR code that can go up somewhere and say, if you're a family member or a parent, this is something that might work for you. But what is next is right now the ... but it's not a period.
That's right.
So stay tuned.
Another question? Yes.
Yeah, so part of this involved people like Maritza and Gianna doing training, so parents training parents. And I'm just wondering from the implementation team, if you hadn't taken that approach, if you had used traditional professionals to do this, would it have been successful? Like, what's that whole thing about? Yeah.
I feel a little compelled to share just because I got to witness in every workshop, as well as my colleagues here, the power of parents. What parents were able to do was they had immediate credibility. Yep. What's going on, right? In the case of Gianna was up here and she was telling about her connections with Nikita and how she was able to say, oh, I'm right here at this rec center that is 5 blocks away. Well, that says something without saying something directly, right? She's of the community. She is also a figure in the community where she is somebody who is renting out the rec center to do programming. She cares about kids and she looks like me. So that in and of itself immediately brings a level of rapport, which brings a level of vulnerability. There were certain stories that were shared that I don't think would have been possible had the facilitators not been who they were. And so I think it's really, really important that we elevate parents as the leaders that they are. They're already in their household. They're already leaders in the community. And I think it's time that we actually value their expertise for what it is.
One more question. Can he Carly.
Go ahead.
So I would like to know what it might look like to actually have a sustained group and what kind of support that might require.
So you mean beyond those 3 sessions, what that would look like?
That's right.
So the question is, what would it look like for us to have a sustained group beyond the initial 3 sessions that we had? Which is really, really good question. I think how we would approach it and how we did approach it even this time is first, we need to make sure parents are empowered with their own resources.
Bring us up.
They have to be able to have the tools they need to be able to do what they need to do for their children. So we were trying to be very intentional about sharing resources even this time. Also, I think I heard Kashmir talking about empowering her parents, and her parents were excited to form their own groups. So now they're meeting on their own to continue all of the different skills that they've learned, all they've shared and learned from one another, to continue to foster and not to forget all the concepts that they can have to be resilient parents and healing saving parents. So hopefully I answered that, but in a nutshell, I think empowering parents to continue to meet on their own, to support one another, and for us to make sure they have the resources to get what they need and do what they need. So.
I'm going to close because of the time, but I want us all to applaud the design and implementation. This is a small fraction of that group that represents all of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to future iterations.
Just as you pass down generational trauma, you can also pass down generational healing. One day he came upstairs and was like, "Mommy, I want McDonald's," in a full complete sentence. He was not even given full complete sentences for a while. And I seen him opening up, like how you just order a flower and just watch it move. He was like coming out of the show. Regulated parents help raise regulated children. And then those children become regulated adults. We're going to make them do this week. And if you stumble, I'm here to catch you. I saw aha moments and light bulbs coming on for the very first time. The importance of that was transitional for a lot of the parents.
Okay, everyone, now we'd like to bring up Ms. Catherine Ford. No, I'm sorry, Ms. Ellie Wallace is here to give us a few comments.
Hi everyone, I know we're at the end of our program, so I will keep this very brief, but my name is Ellie Wallace. I am here from PNC Bank on behalf of the PNC Grow Up Great program. I'm specifically sitting here because Leah and Alex, you put out an incredible call to the funders who are interested in this work, and
And that is what PNC is. I'm very happy to give you just a very brief introduction to what the PNC Growth Rate Program is and why we partner with incredible partners like Children First and First Up to do this work in the community. So a little bit over 20 years ago, PNC employees were asked to determine where we were going to put our corporate philanthropy across the footprint of our bank, which is now a coast-to-coast bank. And the near universal answer from those employees was early childhood education, because we have known from the very start of this bank that that is what helps communities thrive. Somebody said earlier, you know, if you're not educating our children in a high-quality manner, the entirety of your city will not thrive, and we really believe that. So from the start of our corporate philanthropy, we have invested in early childhood education and the early childhood partners who are putting in the work to make sure that our youngest learners are getting the resources that they need. And I just sat in awe hearing both of those two panels talk about the incredible work that you have done here on this project, the time, the dedication, and the energy that you have put into these parents and into the minds of our youngest citizens. And we thank you, we appreciate you, and I would like to give you a round of applause. We at PNC will continue to be your allies, your biggest cheerleaders, and hopefully your biggest funders. We are dedicated to supporting this work and supporting you all, because without you, PNC Growth Rate is nothing. We need the minds and the bodies to do the work who are much smarter than we are, so we will write your checks and we will rely on you to continue to put in the work. So thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for those kind words, and we look forward to the funding. We look forward to the funding. This was a beautiful evening of reflection, learning, and celebration. It reminded us of what's possible when parents lead the way. It reminds us of our superpower, which is our voices. It is much appreciated that the voices of parents and caregivers are listened to in a very respectful manner. When healing, growth, and connection are cultivated with families, not for them, parents growing together began as a question, and this pilot has shown us that when caregivers are given the space, trust, and support, they not only strengthen their relationship with their children, but also with one another. Hence, everyone's desire to keep it going. When's the next one? To every parent, facilitator, partner, and supporter who made this possible, thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. Your honesty, courage, and belief in this work have planted something powerful. Now we got to keep on watering it to allow it to grow even further. This is the beginning. Together we can keep building spaces where families are seen, heard, and equipped to thrive. So let's continue growing together.